Hey guys, and welcome to Teal House Farm. Today we are needing to reorganize our canning pantry, and I will give you a tour of what's in there because it's actually grown a lot since last year when I did a canning pantry tour video. Earlier this week I made a big batch of Hamburger Stew and canned it. I'll put that video up here if you're interested in trying it. And then I realized I could not fit it in the pantry. There was like not an inch of space on any of the shelves. And whenever I make hamburger stew, I always end up with a bag full of cores and peels. I guess not cores, they're all vegetables, but peels. I have carrots, potatoes, onions in this gallon Ziploc bag. I save all these to make big batches of broth, and today I'm going to make some vegetable broth. And that is another 7 quarts and bunches of pints that is going to need to fit in that pantry where there is no room. So today, when the little ones are taking a nap and I don't have to worry about them breaking any jars, I'm going to have the big girls help me reorganize it in a more sensible fashion and get everything in there. And then I will show you everything that we can and how we use it so that you can maybe have some inspiration for your own canning pantry. I say this all the time, I'm going to say it again. Learning to can, especially pressure canning, will really just open a world of opportunity for you as far as being able to affordably stock up and feed your family healthier foods. It gives you the ability to turn anything really that isn't normally shelf stable, even meat products, into a shelf stable form that will be safe to eat for years. And just think about the amount of food that you could have on hand if you didn't have to worry about having enough refrigeration or having to use it really quickly before it goes bad. Like, you can take it and stick it on a shelf and pull it down at Christmas and make yourself a hearty home-cooked meal that is safe and nutritious for your family. Vegetable broth is a super easy way to take what you would normally throw away and turn it into free food for your family. So think of all the soups and stews we will enjoy this winter with this can of broth that literally just uses vegetable skins that I saved from another project I was working on. Things that people would normally compost or throw away. I'm going to go ahead and get that broth to a boil and then simmer it for at least an hour, give it some good flavor. And while we're doing that, I'm going to get everybody lunch and get the little kids down for a nap, and then we will get started on that canning pantry, show you how we fit everything in a small space for a large family, and show you what we got. Let's go. Okay, we have reorganized and we have it all fit in here. I didn't get a chance to film last night. It just got crazy. So I'm going to show it to you today, give you a little tour of what we got. If you use your space wisely, including taking advantage of all your vertical space, like this is a shoe holder, I'm using it to hold my bees wrap. Things like that. And I have a video about how we organize this pantry and get all our bulk supplies in here that I'll link below if you want to watch it. But let's talk specifically about what we can and how I use it. Okay, we're going to start at the top. We have beef broth, which is pretty self-explanatory. And I have a 3-bean vegetable soup that I pressure can. This is great, easy lunch for in the winters. And then I have this spicy tomato-based jalapeno and bean soup jalapeno bacon and bean soup, which is also great in the winter with little sour cream and cheese on top. And ham and beans. I have tons of ham and beans, quarts, pints. It overflows down here. Sam loves ham and beans. I love ham and beans. The pint jars are great. I can send them with Sam to work for lunch, and he can just pop the top and heat it up right in the mason jar and then bring the mason jar back to me. So absolutely no waste, which is great. Easily transported and easily heated up. It's perfect and it's delicious. I will link the video for how to make this 3-ingredient ham and bean soup. It is the best ham and beans I've ever had, and the pressure canner just makes everything so salty and tender. It's just great. So I'll link that below. I have 1 jar left of my baked beans. I love home canned baked beans. They're like 10 times better than the Bush's baked beans at the store. Last year I made probably 30 pints worth of baked beans, and that's all I have left. So this week I will be making more. They get baked in the oven and then pressure canned, and they are just so tender without being mushy, and then just delicious. So more ham and beans. This is applesauce from last year. I'm almost out. I think I have 3 jars back here. So we don't have any apples this year because we had a very late frost. So I'm just keeping my eyes out on the stores in the next few weeks as apples come into season, and just see if I can pick up some bags for a real good price and make some more applesauce. Canned peaches, great for pies, and you could also eat them right out of the jar. My kids don't really like them that way, but it makes a really good peach pie. Cranberry sauce, and I actually canned these in these Weck jars. My mother-in-law got them for me for Christmas next year, and they are awesome because they are a zero waste canning alternative. The whole jar is glass, and then you have the reusable rubber seals. There was a little bit of a learning curve. I'll link that video below as well. The first batch, a couple of the jars didn't seal, but since then I've used them again and kind of figured out the tricks to it. The cranberry sauce, Sam loves cranberry sauce. When I bake a whole chicken or a turkey, he puts it on top like gravy. I like it on the side when we're eating chicken and turkey. It's just a great tangy homemade cranberry sauce. And what I do is around Thanksgiving time, I will pick up just bunches of bags of cranberries after Thanksgiving when they're marked down. I'll freeze them, and then when I have some free time, I'll make up a big batch of cranberry sauce, and then it's like Thanksgiving all year round. Canned pears, we eat them as is, and I also love making pear pies. A little bit of a different texture than apple pies. I don't peel my pears when I can them because I find that the peels don't bother me. It also makes the canning process a lot faster. I've also fried them up like fried apples. That's also delicious. Lots of canned potatoes. Canned potatoes are a great way to take the work out of potatoes on a busy day without having to go so far as use all those preservative-laden dried mashed potato mixes. I use canned potatoes for quick home fries. I use them for quick mashed potatoes. It's great. They're already cooked pretty much all the way through, so you just gotta warm them up and you can fry them or mash them or stick them in a stew. But very versatile, and on a day when you need a quick meal, you don't have to worry about peeling and cooking potatoes before you can use them for something. Hamburger stew. I posted a video of hamburger stew last week. I use this just as is, like a stew. I also add cheese and noodles and use it like a goulash. So I love this because it's versatile whether I'm just having a lunch soup or a dinner heartier meal. It's all pretty much set, ready to go. You can cook in noodles in less than 10 minutes and have it on the table if you needed something heavier for dinner. All right, cubed ham, well, not quite cubed, sliced ham. This is my first year canning ham, and it's been a great addition. So any crock pot recipe that I have that uses ham, this is very convenient. It's already sliced and diced. I can just drain it and dump it in. I also fry it up with some brown sugar like a breakfast ham. Can be added to any casserole. It saves the steps of having to slice my ham, and it also takes the ham out of the freezer because you get a ton of ham when you buy a hog. Saves me a ton of space in the freezer, and then it's shelf stable and it's going to be good in here for several years, so I don't have to worry about using 50 million pounds of ham in a short period of time to keep it out of to get it out of the freezer. Canned sausage I do in two ways. I have sausage patties, which I fry up for breakfast, and I have ground sausage, which I use in some soups. I also use in especially egg casseroles. I love having ground sausage on the shelf too, because I can go from getting home to biscuits and gravy on the table in 15 minutes because the meat is already done. I just need to add the flour and the milk and whisk it up, and then I can pop the biscuits in the oven and scramble some eggs, and we're done. On the table, ready to go. Canned barbecue pork. I love this for sandwiches or even as a main dish for dinner. It's nice to have it all cooked, ready to go. Nice and tender too, because it has been pressure canned. Just makes everything so much more tender. Ground beef, I only have about 4 jars of this left, so we'll be making more soon. Again, taking a lot of that hamburger out of the freezer, which is great. Makes it shelf stable. It's not hogging a lot of room in my freezer. It also doesn't need to be defrosted to be used. So here's future tacos, enchiladas, casseroles, anything, sloppy joes, anything really that would use ground beef. You've skipped a major step by having it pre-cooked. These are green tomatoes, just sliced, which I can fry up to make fried green tomatoes. That is really the only way that I have to use these. I don't know of another way to use green tomatoes. And this is actually a salsa verde that I made using green tomatoes. And I know the color looks really weird on the picture. I don't know why. It's green tomatoes all the way through. The light or something on the camera is making the color look weird above the water line. It's actually all the same color in the jar. But salsa verde, I have a chicken enchilada chowder, I guess is what you'd call it, that is really good in the winter that uses salsa verde. So now I have some homemade that I can dump in. It's also good for dipping chips in if you like salsa verde. Tons of canned zucchini. I have a casserole that uses zucchini or yellow squash. That's just delicious side dish. It gets it used up. These are also good for adding to soups or stews. You can fry them up in some butter with some onions and a little bit of cheese as a side dish. Zucchini is one of those things where you get tons of zucchini from your garden super easily, and then you're like, oh my gosh, how do I use it all so fast? And so canning is a great way to preserve it and keep it on your shelf. And then you can enjoy all that zucchini that you grew in the winter and not worry about stuffing your faces with zucchini in the summer. Down here we have a couple of things. I have tomato juice from last year. These are almost used up. I think I have 4 pints left. I add this sometimes to beef stew or to beef roast to give it a different flavor if I get tired of just doing it with gravy. I also have some overflow chicken broth in pint jars. That's pretty self-explanatory. You can also use tomato juice to make tomato soup, like the Campbell style tomato soup with some milk and a little bit of a thickener. It's pretty good. Canned corn, that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't actually typically can corn. It's a lot of work and it takes a lot of corn to fill a jar, but we had some that was given to us last year and it was a lot, which I'm very thankful for. So I went ahead and canned it, and that's what's left. There's only 6 or 7 jars left. Green beans from the garden. This is chicken broth. Again, please don't buy broth. Make it yourself if you can, because it's so fast and easy. And look, if you think about all these different broths, this is all chicken, that's all beef, that's all vegetable, more vegetable down there somewhere. There it is. This is more than, so these are quart jars. So you figure it's about $1 a pint for good quality broth at the store. Probably even more if you want an extra good one. And so these are at least worth $2 each. And look at how many jars that I've made just by saving scraps and bones from dinners. I mean, that is so much money saved right there to feed my family that would just easily be thrown away at the grocery store. Random zucchini that didn't fit on the shelf above. And down here we have sliced apples from last year. These I fry up like fried apples or make apple pies. I have it both in quarts and pints. This is pumpkin that's canned. And pumpkin is great with some some of these fried apples mixed in, a little bit of cinnamon as a side dish. Also could make pumpkin soup with it or pumpkin pie. Do realize that the pumpkin pie filling you buy at the store is not just pumpkin. It's a lot of yams, from what I understand. Pumpkin has kind of a stringier texture, so if you make pumpkin pie with just pumpkin, the texture and the color is a little different than what you're probably used to. Taste is good, but just forewarning. When we make pumpkin pie, I mix some of the pumpkin with either some butternut squash or some sweet potatoes to get that softer, smoother texture that us Americans are used to for a Thanksgiving pumpkin pie dinner. Okay, then over here, some small jars of salsa. I like canning salsa in half pints because I find that we tend to get in a salsa mood and might eat it 2 nights in a row for a snack, and then we don't want salsa again for several weeks, and it, you know, a pint jar will just go bad in the fridge. So that's the perfect amount for Sam and I snacking while watching TV. And then down here we have apple syrup made from apple peels and cores. Don't throw away your apple peels and cores when you are canning apples. Use them to make apple syrup. Video below. I use the syrup to make a homemade barbecue sauce to like put on ribs and stuff, and that's really delicious. It's also good on pancakes. Do know that apple syrup is going to be runnier than maple syrup. If you want it nice and thick for your pancakes, you'll need to whisk it up with some cornstarch right before you use it. Don't can it with cornstarch, that's not allowed. We have a chicken and vegetable soup. And we have beef stew, which I'm almost out of that. I love beef stew that is pressure canned. It has the best flavor and it's so tender. And it's so awesome to be able to go from popping open a can to a hearty homemade beef stew on the table in less than 10 minutes. Totally worth the time effort. Down here on the bottom we have more vegetable broth. Again, ka-ching, free money. And I have some leftover pizza sauce from last year's tomato harvest. Pizza sauce is great canned in half pints because it's about one of these jars makes 2 pizzas, which is what our family eats right now. Though it's quickly heading to 3 pizzas to feed everybody as the kids get bigger. So I don't have a pint jar sitting in the fridge unused, feeling like I need to make pizza several nights in a row. We have the last of my meat sauce. Last year I made meat sauce using tomato peels and cores, stuff that you don't use to make your pizza or your smoother sauce. And it came out so well. This year I will make a video on how to do that. So you don't need to put your peels and cores for your tomatoes in the compost pile. You can use them to make this great hearty meat and vegetable sauce, which is great on any kind of like baked pasta. And there's more pizza sauce down there. These are some of my store-bought canned goods. Chicken, I love canned chicken. I don't can it myself because we didn't raise chickens this year for butchering, just egg layers, because I was having a baby in what would have been butchering season. And also, I just haven't seen any good chicken on sale in the stores. It was just more cost-effective to buy the canned chicken than it was to can it myself. Tons of canned fish. I may or may not really like fish and tuna fish and canned salmon for things, so I keep tons of it on the shelf because it lasts forever. It's an easy source of protein. But wait, there's more. We have overflow. My last jar of pickled beets. I'm the only one who likes pickled beets, so that's mine. I won't probably make more because I'm the only one who eats it, and I eat it rarely, just kind of when I'm in the mood, so they sit on the shelf a long time. I have an oversized jar of salsa just kind of hanging out there. And then we have several different kinds of pickles. I love pickles even when I'm not pregnant. I have a nice dill pickle, and I have several jars of these hot and spicy sweet pickles, which are so good. My favorite. I eat those just like candy. And then up at the very top, true to any canning pantry, we have 4 different varieties of jelly up at the top for enjoying on peanut butter and jelly or toast or anything. Every year we make apple jelly, blackberry jelly, well, I guess it's blackberry jam, elderberry jelly, which is really good, even though I'm sure the health components of the elderberry are lost once you add that much sugar. And I make a spicy pear jam, which is so good on any kind of grilled chicken or pork. I also mix it in with the homemade baked beans sometimes for a really sweet caramelized baked bean. So good. Love this. And that is everything that we can and keep on the shelves at home. A couple tips to maximizing your space. You can stack jars on top of each other, but make sure you use cardboard in between the layers. It helps even out the pressure from the cans sitting on each other, which will help prevent false seals or popped seals. Also, do not store your jars with the rings on them. That can also create a false seal, which could make you think a jar was safe to eat when it's not. Please take the rings off between 24 and 48 hours after canning and storing it on the shelf. Also, with the canned goods, when you pop the lids, if you don't hear a good of the vacuum sucking in air, it's probably not a good seal. Don't risk it. Just toss it. You never want to take a risk and make somebody sick. Make sure you're following your canning instructions for safe canning. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We will look forward to seeing you guys next time on whatever adventure we are headed to next. Thank you.